Hello everyone, welcome to the tutorial on my personal finance and monthly budget template. This is a great template to get a comprehensive look into all your finances with budgets, spending, savings, net worth. Pretty much you'll be able to view insights on your whole financial picture. I personally have been using spreadsheets for over 5 years in my finances, and some people think I'm crazy because there's so many apps and other tools out there. However, I found spreadsheets really are the best way to get the most customizable data to your liking, also a better understanding on your finances, because you do have to log in every transaction that you spend and make on this spreadsheet. It really is a great way to answer the question, where is my money going? So without further ado, let's get into this. I want to mostly be in this example tab, and really ideally the template tab is supposed to be exactly what it says, a template. So you want to first adjust this to your liking, and every month duplicate it, rename it to an accepted format, which you can find in here. Basically it's just the first 3 letters of the month. This is important because if you don't do one of these accepted formats, you won't be able to track it on the yearly report, which I'll get into later. So let me show you the example tab. You can follow along with me, but we first want to start with the monthly setup. We'll expand it here. One good rule of thumb with this spreadsheet is everything that's orange is something that can be adjusted, and anything that's not orange, you should probably proceed with caution. And again, there's a note saying, hey, use this as a template, duplicate it each month, it's going to make your life easier, and then also rename the spreadsheet to the name of the month. So we're going to start off by inputting your monthly budget. Now, if you don't really have a good idea, just estimate for now. And as you go along, as you fill things out, as the months go on, you'll get a much better idea on what your monthly budget realistically can be. And then after that, we're going to do a budget for each subcategory. Now, let's just reset some of these to 0. If you look on the bottom, it will say what your remaining budget is. So that's going to help you fill out these numbers as you go. And I also have some custom categories as well. If I did not include a category that you would want, this is where you would put custom under. So next, just set up your bills. Pretty self-explanatory. Again, you might have to adjust these month to month, but when you really fill out the template, you should only have to do some slight adjustments. If you want to use an estimation for utilities, that is totally fine as well. You also see here on the bottom what your total monthly bills will be. And now let's go into income. Most people have a pretty static income with a W-2. Again, it can be an estimation. Maybe you have some dividends. Maybe you watch the neighbor's dog every month. So yeah, after that, you'll see we have a notes column. And I personally like to use this on just things that I need to buy this month that I know, or just overall journal finance notes, like I should probably cancel Netflix if you're not using it, or if you have a big payment coming up. And really that's it. And it's actually really quick because again, when you make that template, you're only making slight adjustments every time. So once you fill this out, you'll see something like this. In your main dashboard, you'll have your income for that month, total expenses. This is monthly bills plus total spending. And on the example category, we do have some spending transactions to look at. But when you first start off, it will just say pretty much whatever your monthly bills is. And then your profit and loss, it's just income minus total expenses, and then how much of your budget you have left. We also have some cool pie charts right here. This is your total spending, and this is your total budgets. Now let's open the budget section. This is where I personally spend most of my time because it kind of gives you everything you need to know. It shows you how much you spent on each category and what that budget was and what your balance is left with all those budgets. Now let's open up the spending section. And this is really neat. This is where you can find each of your transactions sorted by category. So in this example sheet, we have Trader Joe's and Walmart under grocery. But if we wanted to go under dining, for example, we would just see there's Olive Garden. We see a total category spend total right here. And that's why I say I personally spend most of my time on this budget section, because you can kind of see all that a little quicker, but you can't see individual transactions. All right, so lastly, let's go over the transactions section. And this is where each time you spend, you're gonna input that expense. So let's do one real quick. Let's just say we had to get gas, and we'll put $50, and that's gonna be under transportation. Now, I don't use dates. I also estimate my amounts. I don't really go back to my statements and get the exact penny, but you can definitely do whatever you want. Now, once we add gas, that's all we need to do. And we're going to look under spending, go under transportation, and you'll see it automatically adds itself to that category, as well as our total expenses will be updated, profit and loss, and budget balance. One thing I forgot to mention when you're in the template, and let's just go back for a second. So once you fill all this out, right, again, it looks different from the tab I was just on because that was the example tab. So if this was March, for example, we would input the month, click this drop down, click March, and also rename this template on the bottom to March. But you have to make sure that you make a duplicate, so I actually did that wrong. You want to right click, duplicate. And that way, again, you'll have all your numbers that you already put in for each month, and you'll just have to adjust budget slightly, maybe adjust your income slightly, and so on. Alright, so now let's head into the savings tab, and this is another reason why renaming the sheet to that current month is going to help you. I renamed the example spreadsheet tab to just Jan, and it tells us our recommended money available to save. Now this is literally just income minus budget, but it'll give you a good idea on how much you should actually save. So we want maybe like a $600 buffer, whatever you want. That's going to be the actual number we save is going to be right here under savings, input amount to save. And then now this is just all, where do we want to allocate that, right? Now the savings sheet is definitely optional, but for sure recommended because, you know, people have investments, they have savings, they have different savings accounts, all those things. So you can mess around with these percents. If you want to put 80% in savings and only 20 in investments, well, then there you go, you get your new amount. So out of the $1,000, we want to put $800 into savings and $200 into investments. And this will give you your total on percent. Obviously, you don't want to make sure it's not over 100 because you don't have that money available to save. And same thing with the total here, the calculated amount, it should match your savings amount. And this is an optional chart to the right, but what I like to do is I like to put in each month how much I'm putting towards each of my savings allocations. So that would be, you know, my main savings account, main investment account, and then of course there are some custom categories for you to fill in. And if you fill out this chart, you'll also have a nice graph on the bottom that will be a timeline throughout the year on how much each month you put in your savings and your investments or whatever other categories you choose. Now let's head into the net worth tab. Again, this is another optional thing. It is up to you how much you want to use the features in this spreadsheet. But again, I found this very helpful to track my savings, my investments, maybe you have a 401k each and every month. Now, this is going to be cumulative versus where savings is, okay, how much did I put that month? In January, how much did I put into savings and investments versus your net worth is, okay, in January, how much did I have in total in my savings and in my investments? So this is a great way, again, to just keep track on how much you're saving, what is your net worth over time. You can put, you know, your house in here if you really wanted. But same thing with savings, you'll see a timeline chart on the bottom that will fill out as the months go on. And that's really it for the net worth tab. Lastly, let's get into the year report. This looks very overwhelming at first, but I promise it will be simple the more you look at it. One thing I want to add is all these numbers are going to automatically fill in as you fill in the month, so you don't have to worry about manually inputting your total spending at all here. This is just an insight on your full financial picture. So each month it's going to break down total category numbers for each month. So this is just a good way to see everything, your whole financial picture in one tab. Tell you your income for January, your monthly bills, grocery, every category that you have, your profit and loss, and how much you put into savings. And the cool thing is, over time, as you put in more months, the darker the red will be the more expensive months, the lighter the red will be the less expensive months. You'll see that fill out as you get more months going. Same thing with income, the lighter the green will be the less income, and the darker the green will be the more income you made for that month. And just for an example to show you, what if we made $5,000 in February? You'll see it will adjust. Now February is the darker green, January is the lighter green, and we can even go one step further. $8,000 in March, you see now that's going to be the darkest green. February will be like an in-between green, and January will be a light green. A really cool feature I like to use for my budgets is looking at this average row. Now, when you start filling out your budget, you might not know how much do I spend in grocery each month. Well, you'll have an average over your months that you put in. Now, you'll see an average on, okay, over the year, how much on average did I put into grocery, dining, pets, every category. You'll also see a total amount. So this will be a good idea to get a more realistic budget for you, know where you can cut, areas you can expand, and whatnot. So of course, we have to have a timeline chart as well with this sheet. And as you see here, it will fill out. I put in $400 just as an example to show you over time. Now I have view all selected, but you might only want to view income or monthly bills over time, and it will give you a nice chart. And one thing I forgot to mention is when it's a new month, this has to be refreshed. A few ways you can do this is selecting all the months, copy, paste. That will refresh it. You could also go into tools or extensions, macros, and refresh months. That pretty much does the same thing. Sometimes it's a little finicky, so copy and pasting it might be better. But yeah, that will just refresh the months for it to look for the sheet that has a new month and then input your numbers. It will automatically update as the month goes on. It's just when there's a new sheet added for that month, it needs to be refreshed. And that's really it. Thank you so much for downloading. Let me know any questions you have, any ideas that you have. I really hope you find value out of this like I do. So the download link is in the description. I also dedicate a considerable amount of effort into making these templates, aiming to offer them at no cost. If you appreciate my work, feel free to contribute.